Welcome back to Learn SKN, and today we're going to be looking at the January 2025 Principles of Business for CSEC Past Paper 2. And so we are going to jump in with question 1, of course, but we're going to continue along that line until we finish the paper. So if you want to see when we upload the video for question 2, 3, 4, 5, just like, subscribe, and hit the bell to know when we upload the rest questions. All right, so without further ado, let's jump right into it. So as you can see here, it's the January 2025, the most recent paper. And so question 1, so they're doing this case study thing, which they are trying to help you guys to think more outside the box as opposed to regurgitate. So let's see what this question has to offer. So Rachel Kaur is the owner of Good Care Beauty Salon. The salon consists of two departments, nails and hair. The nails department comprises 5 technicians and is supervised by Julian Jones. The hair department comprises 7 stylists and is supervised by Kelly Scott. Rachel Kaur manages the business and is assisted by an accounting clerk, Maxine Stamp. Okay, good. Use the information in the scenario above to complete the following organizational chart for Good Care Beauty Salon. The title and name of the employees must be stated in each case. An example has been provided for you. Okay, so we have Rachel Kaur, manager Rachel Kaur. Then you have the nails department, hair department. So we need to fill in these 3 here, 1 to 3. And so naturally, the number 1 would be the assistant, right? Because they said here she is she's assisted by an accounting clerk, Maxine. So Maxine, accounting clerk, goes here. Maxine Stamp goes here as she's the accounting clerk, and she works directly for the manager, Rachel Kaur. Right? She's off there to the side. Then we have the nails department, the hair department. So therefore, the nails department comprises 5 technicians and is supervised by Julian Jones. So right here, supervisor Julian Jones for the nails, right? Julian Jones going by the nails. That's right here. So she supervises the nail department. And so who's remaining now? Kelly Scott goes right here. Number 3, the hair department, because they say the hair department comprises 7 stylists and is supervised by Kelly Scott. So Kelly Scott, you belongs to here. So you get the 3 marks easy for that one. So I see what they're doing. I see what CSEC is doing. They're kind of trying to spice up the thing a bit. They want to ask the same questions over and over. So it's the same content, but they put it in a different way, right? So that's cool. That's cool. I ain't got no problem with that at all. So 3 marks right there. B, state the span of control of manager of Good Care Beauty Salon. Okay, so the span of control speaks to how many persons you are, who you supervise, how many persons you're in charge of. And so the manager has a narrow span of control, narrow, because only 1 to 3 persons that she's in charge of. So it's a narrow span of control, right? So this span of control, it is narrow for this organization. So it's very similar to this one here depicted in your textbook, where you can see it's a very, very similar organizational chart, right? Very, very similar. So that would be the narrow span of control. So easy so far, right? Easy so far. I ain't complaining. Easy so far. All right, moving right along. 1 mark. So we got 3 marks in the back right now. Okay, B, 2. Identify 2 potential sources of conflict that may occur between the manager and the employees of Good Care Beauty Salon. So all I have to do is identify. Just identify, and therefore then asking to list nothing. Just identify. So again, just say identify. So we go back to our textbook. Right there, sources of conflict. So 1, poor working conditions. 2, abuse by management. 3, sexual harassment. Job security issues, meaning you don't know if you're gonna have a job tomorrow or whatever. You might feel like your job is at stake. Then you have unfair dismissal. Pay, of course. Pay is always a big issue, right? Pay is always a big issue. So these are some sources of conflict, especially pay. It's always a big one. Poor working conditions, always a big one. Job security, the next one. Harassment of any kind, verbal, sexual, of any kind. That's a source for conflict. Gossip could be a source of conflict. So you can see a whole nice list here provided for us in our textbook as it relates to sources of conflict. So again, all it said is to identify. So we identify multiple, but they only ask for 2. All right, moving along nicely. We got the nice 2 marks there. Describe each of the following strategies used in the resolution of conflict in an organization. So you have mediation, you have arbitration, right? So for these ones, they're different. They might sound similar, but they're different, right? So mediation versus arbitration. Let's just take a look at the textbook and see what they have, right? So right here, you have mediation, where a neutral third party, a mediator, is brought in to listen to the grievances of both parties involved in the dispute. They aim to facilitate communication and develop understanding between the aggrieved parties. The mediator does not, however, so it's a very key point, the mediator does not, however, assume any advisory role nor imposes recommendations on either party. The final responsibility for settling the dispute rests with the 2 parties who decide which possible solution will suit their circumstances. So in a nutshell, mediation simply means, so 2 parties warring, the beefing, and what they do, they let a third party come in, somebody who's neutral to the conflict, come in and just hear them out, right? Just to be a peacekeeper, just to stay there and hear both sides and see if they can help them to communicate, right? So just somebody in the middle. So, okay, you talk. Okay, now you talk. So you can hear you. So everybody try to work out the problems that they have, right? The mediator doesn't really have any legal standing. They don't really come to any conclusion. They just need to facilitate the conversation between the different parties. That's the main job of the mediator. They try to broker the conversation, mediate the conversation between the 2 parties. So that's mediation, right? Arbitration, on the other hand, a third party is brought in again to listen to both sides, right, involving the dispute. But both parties agree beforehand to accept and uphold the decision made by the arbiter after he or she has heard the case. After the arbiter has heard the issues, he or she makes a ruling or passes judgment by declaring a means of settlement. The decision is legally binding on the aggrieved party. So you see the difference right there, right? With the arbitration, a third party is brought in to hear both sides, but at the end of the day, the third party is going to decide, okay, I gone on this side, or I gone on this side, or you're wrong, so you have to do this to correct whatever you did, that kind of thing. And the arbiter has some legal standing. So if the arbiter says, okay, you were wrong, you need to do this, that's what they're going to decide. It's legally binding. That's the arbitration right there. So 2 different things altogether. Mediation, arbitration, but you have to just describe each, just define them, so what they're about, and you get your 4 marks for that one. Alright, easier still. List 4 characteristics of a good leader. Easiest just to list. So if we dig into our textbook again, characteristics of a good leader, we have them right here. A good leader sets challenging but attainable goals or objectives. A good leader motivates others to achieve those goals, so they motivate. They will act with honesty, so a good leader is honest. They make intelligent and informed decisions, so a good leader is intelligent and a good decision maker. They usually gain the respect of others and give it back in return. A good leader is flexible, so they're able to adapt to different leadership styles and situations. So those are some characteristics of a good leader. If you want to simplify it, here you can see in the slides, characteristics of a good leader: strategic thinking and planning, creativity, so they are creative and they have a good imagination. You can need innovation. They are decisive, they work hard, they persevere, they are good with people, right? They are good with people, they have good communication skill, they are willing to learn, willing to listen, they have integrity, and they are firm but fair, right? So those are some characteristics of good leadership, right? So just ask for 4, you outline the 4, and you are good to go. So that's 4 marks right there. All right, moving along nicely. Explain 2 benefits of a manager adopting a democratic style of leadership rather than an authoritarian style of leadership. So we're looking for just the advantages of the democratic leadership over an authoritarian style of leadership. And you see what they say here: explain 2 benefits, right? So 6 marks, so it's 3 marks each. So in this case, right, we're looking at both sides of the coin. So if you say one thing about the democratic leadership style, then you have to show why it is and benefit over the authoritarian style, right? For example, if you say democratic leadership, you hear the concerns or the recommendation of others, whereas in authoritarian, the leader doesn't ask for the input of anybody else. So you have to put both sides of the coin, right? So let's dig into it right here. So normally that's what CXC does. That's what they normally do. They compare the democratic to the authoritarian. So let's go. So look at the authoritarian right here. All decisions are made by the leader. There's no consultation with this subordinates. Managers mainly use top-down or formal lines of communication to issue orders. Feedback from the subordinates is not desired. So look at that. Look, you see what's happening there. But we look at the democratic now, right? Look at the democratic. Employees are encouraged to participate in the decision-making process. There is delegation of authority, meaning that the bosses give his subordinates some level of authority to do certain things. Managers use two-way flow of communication with a balance of top-down and bottom-down approaches for very flexible. So it's very flexible. So look at some perks now for democratic versus the other one. So advantage. May feel a greater sense of belonging within the firm. So employees feel a greater sense of belonging within the firm as they are actively involved in the decision-making process. So that's a perk right there. So if employees feel like they belong, of course, they're going to be more motivated and they are going to be better workers, more productive workers, because they feel as though they are part of the organization, they are part of the decision-making process, as opposed to authoritarian, where employees might feel a lack. Look at that. Employees may feel a lack of sense of belonging within the organization, and so that means that they're going to be discouraged, and they're not going to feel as motivated to work for you as they would in a more democratic setting. So that's the flip sides right there, right? So you see the perk of being democratic, people feel as they are part of it, and so they're more motivated. Whereas for authoritarian, no, they don't feel like they're part of anything, and so there's not that motivation and the level of productivity, right? Look at that. Employees become resentful towards the manager and retaliate by not giving their best on the job, as I was outlining just now. Back to democratic and expert. Leader provides scope for the development of workers' creativity and innovation, and sources the team's ideas, right? So because it's a democratic system in the organization, they actually encourage the workers to think outside the box, be creative, be innovative. And so this would help the company to grow and develop even more if your employees can think outside the box, can develop their own ideas, can do things in a more creative manner, right? And of course, encourages teamwork, everybody working together, more heads. Two heads are better than one. And so you're able to get more ideas being generated, more creativity, more innovation if everybody working together in a collaborative effort, as opposed to the authoritarian, where workers' creativity and innovation may become stifled as their ideas are not sought by the leader. And so there's not much teamwork going on either, because nobody really working with anybody. Everybody feels as though, okay, I'm in a part of this, what the boss says goes, and so therefore I'm not here, I'm not able to simply use my creativity, use my innovative ideas to help the company. In the long run, right? The fact that the company cannot innovate, there's no creativity, it's going to die on the vine. The company's not going to do its best it can. It's not going to make as much money as it can if persons are not allowed to work together, think about solutions for problems in a different and unique way, right? So those are the two benefits outlined there of democratic versus authoritarian, right? So that's it for question number 1. Easy like that. 20 full marks. Knock it off one time, right? So that's it for number 1. That's it for this video. So stay tuned for question number 2. That's gonna be a next video. So like again, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when Learn SKN drops number 2 for the CSEC Principles of Business January 2025 past paper 2, right? I did paper 1 already for 2024 or 5. I think, yeah, I did paper 1 already. No, I did paper 1 for January 2024, not 2025. So if anybody have any other up-to-date past papers, feel free to email them at learnskn@outlook.com. Any 2024, 2023, 2025 papers, POB, econ, whatever it might be, agriculture science, just email them to that address. We can go through them on the channel. Alright, so thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Stay tuned for the rest videos.